passengers. We will be conducting our final passenger head count.
I didn't do much research before I went to Lombok. Just a lazy Google search that didn't reveal much other than Mount Rinjani, the live volcano, which was where most people headed for birding. I thought I'd buck the trend and venture to Kuta and stay near the beach in the south. Besides, it was a remote tropical island. There had to be birds, right? First impressions, the coastline was beautiful, but it was quite different to neighbouring Bali, with granular beige sand and a lot less tropical vegetation, despite the heat and humidity. It looked a lot drier than Bali too, but the driver did mention the wet season was a dud and there was a drought on of sorts. I couldn't see any birds, either in the hotel garden or on the beach, but it was early days yet. After a relaxing dinner at the hotel and an early night, I set off the next morning for a walk around the headland. Crossing a rickety bamboo bridge, I could see the Mandalika, the newly constructed Grand Prix racetrack, which seemed ludicrously out of place in Lombok. Luckily, no practice races today to burn my ears, so onwards I go.
Well, I managed to pick up a little friend already. I don't think he's going to help with my birding, but he seems to be set on following me around.
And wow, what gorgeous views from the headland, and barely a soul around.
And here comes friend number 2, just licking the back of my leg. They're not really helping me find birds, but anyway, you have to laugh. And yeah, plenty of dogs. Another little doggy friend just showed up. But it's very tropical. It's absolutely lovely temperature. I am looking forward to getting back to the hotel and having a swim in the pool. But it's very pleasant to walk around. And the scenery is absolutely beautiful.
After wandering around for a couple of hours, I did manage to find a few birds, but it was far from busy. I was up early the next morning to take a dawn boat ride from Gerapuk, a popular surf village about a 10-minute drive away. It was dotted with local fishing and surf school boats. Despite the early hours, the bay was already filled with surf schoolers and their guides. It was a beautiful sunrise, out on the glassy water with colourful boats, the rugged coastline, and Mount Rinjani, the live volcano, looming in the distance. The sunrise soon gave way to a hot and humid day again, so I waited until the late afternoon for another walk around the headland, this time heading in the other direction. Now, I know we are spoilt for birds in Australia, but it was really strange walking past several small beaches with not a bird in sight, not even a seagull. I passed the headland and walked onto another beach, with techno music pumping out of massive speakers from some expensive-looking resort. Meanwhile, a herd of buffalo were being escorted up the beach, and there was a couple of backpackers lounging around looking bored. It was a pretty strange combo of Western indulgence and third world living.
Look at this in between the hotels. There's this big pre-prepared super concrete road ready for the next 5-star development for the Grand Prix.
Long story short, it was another unsuccessful birding mission, and my hopes of finding some exotic anythings along the coastline were rapidly sinking. Oh well, time to head into town and check out the village.
Off to town! Woohoo! We're on the freeway. Amazingly good roads here. Here we are in downtown Kuta. This is in the less western style. Lots of scooters. So the gentrification of Lombok has begun. The real estate agents are moving in, along with the Grand Prix. With a healthy mix of third world rubbish and destruction thrown in. It's pretty chaotic. Probably gearing up for a pretty busy night here in Kuta. Lots of tourists getting around. Lots of places to eat and drink. Everybody wants your business here. It's good though, good vibe. The amazing fresh fish at Sonia Seafood. Absolutely delicious meal.
By now, it was getting dark and my confidence in scooter travel was waning, so back to the hotel for an early night. It wasn't looking good for finding any birds on the coast. It was time to head to the hills and into the national park and check out one of Lombok's famous features, the waterfalls. Arriving at the national park, you did need to hire a guide as walking through yourself is strictly prohibited. I paid $9 to visit 2 out of the 4 waterfalls and about 1.5 to 2 hours to see both.
Oh, potato.
A lovely and very nimble Muslim guide quickly zipped up and down the many stairs, about 170 in total, never letting me get ahead and making sure there was no wandering off. Halfway through, I was pretty glad I didn't decide to visit all 4 waterfalls. The stairs were really tall and steep. Not something to do if you have a bad knee or are lacking in fitness, but it was a beautiful walk, and the waterfalls were well worth the effort.
Wow, beautiful. Look at that. Magic.
No birds, but there were some very cute camera-shy monkeys.
And more stairs. Big stairs.
The waterfalls were absolutely stunning, but unfortunately, with the gloomy midday light, my photos don't really do it justice. Then it started to steadily rain at the second waterfall, and I ended up drenched to the skin. Luckily, I had a waterproof bag for my video camera, and it wasn't a problem for my weatherproof OM1, which I did shield to some degree with a banana leaf. Well, that was my Lombok experience. I am left wondering about the lack of birds. I'm not sure whether they are or were a food source, and I did read a blog post online about a lot of air rifles in the area. Would I return to Lombok? Probably not. I found the access to natural areas a bit too limited and controlled. There were days where the national park was closed altogether because it was at capacity. It did make me appreciate the freedom we have in Australia to travel around freely and to stop where we want and when we want. I'm looking forward to just hopping in my van and driving off into the sunset on another little Aussie adventure. Stay tuned for my next trip.